Everything going? Mic check. I just want to make sure y'all can hear me clearly. Yeah. Should you practice art? Or should art be your practice? I had a question, so I asked it. Not to anyone specifically, but to my inner God, you know? The one that's gonna be a master. The one that's more than a rapper. The one that's an educator. The one that seeks enlightenment. He travels with concepts. He's got the mindset expansive. He understands that his time combined with travel and concepts makes his mind convex. Sort of like when you look at a brain scan.
Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This show that you are watching right now is Comics Today, a show that we do on Wednesday night to celebrate the best day of the week, that being New Comic Book Day. And as part of this celebration, we talk about news and current events, things that are top of mind for me and might also be top of mind for you. We go to the chat to figure out what it is that you guys may have picked up earlier today at your LCSs. If you picked up something, I want to know what you picked up. I want to know what you've read. I want to know what you've enjoyed. We oftentimes also have a guest or two on to help me to make sense of something that is happening in the world of comics and collectibles, but we are not going to be doing that today. I am severely underwater and did not have a chance to line anything up. But I still think that we are going to have a good time. There are a lot of new books that actually came out today. I've had a chance to actually read a couple as of like the last hour or so. I was able to squeeze in a couple of books. And then I've also picked up a couple of new books, one of which is on the wall behind me, and two of which are sitting off to my side there that I will try to do a video on, because I need to unbox the books to make sure they are what indeed that I ordered. So shout out to everybody that's in the live stream right now. I want to be going to the chat here momentarily to see what it is that you guys may have picked up at your LCSs. If you picked up something, let me know what you picked up, what you've read, what we should prioritize and put on the top of our reading stacks. If you picked up a book that is not a new book, but is a new to you book, we want to hear about that as well. That way, we can live vicariously through you spending money. I saw someone bring up The Nun. Saw someone bring up The Nun. I will tell you that The Nun is indeed a scary movie. It is a well-done movie. I like The Nun 1 better than The Nun 2. If you have not seen Nun 2, watch it. I still think 1 is better, but watch it. Let me know what you think. The other thing I will tell you is that there's an entire universe. There's an entire universe of the folks that are behind The Nun 1 and 2. They have an entire universe of a bunch of shows like The Conjuring 2, the Haunting of this. I can't remember them all, but there's like 8 or 9 movies that they've come out with. They are all decent movies. They're all decent horror flicks. So if you have not started to watch their universe, treat yourself, check it out. I do believe that they are also the same people behind Gargoyles. The Gargoyles, I think it's a live action that they are talking about making. I do believe the folks that are behind The Nun 2 in that universe are also behind Gargoyles. Somebody may need to fact check me on that because I have a tendency to make things up. Let me go to the chat real quick to see what you guys have picked up. I haven't seen anything pop up yet. So if you picked up something, let me know. We are going to give away the Shortbox $100 credit in a few minutes. We're going to talk about movie trends a little bit later in the show. As I mentioned, we're also going to talk about new releases. And then I also have some terminology, some Regie Collects terminology that I want to share with you guys. Some things came up recently during one of my unboxings. And then in a subsequent conversation with somebody, I want to share some new terminology with you guys. Herman's up in here. Herman, it's good to see you, neighbor. New stuff today. Captain America 3, Amazing Spider-Man, The Gang War First Strike, X-Men Blue Origins. Please let me know how that is. The X-Men Blue Origins, let me know how that is. I'm going to talk about that here in a moment. The Madness 2 and also Gang War Luke Cage 1. I want to know how that one is as well. The cover looked decent for a cover A. The interior art, I don't know about that, but let me know, Herman, if you like those two books, because those are two that I'm looking forward to reading. Michael says, give me that $100. Well done. Well done, brother. Rush, my Canadian brother, how you doing? He says, this week, Incredible Hulk 141, the first Doc Samson, and 162. They're very nice, very nice. 9.0 and a 9.2. Wendigo, first Wendigo, 9.0 and 9.2. That's what's up. Who is that? Jason. How you doing, brother? He says, picked up Berserker, Fallen Empire, Local Man, City Boy, Ronin 2. Picked up also the X-Men Blue Origins. Let me know how that goes. And then X-Men 142, the facsimile. Spider-Woman. How many Spider-Woman reboots will there be? I feel like there was just one like last year, and then maybe one 2 years before that. It's like every time I turn around, they seem to be rebooting Spider-Woman for whatever reason. Steve, how you doing, brother? He said, I ended up picking up $14 at my LCS and posted a video on them. I'm at work and don't have my list, but he does remember 2 books that he picked up. That's what's up. Steve, look at me. Do not get fired watching me, because I will not help you on the backside, okay? I don't want to hear, Reggie, I got fired watching you. Can you help? No, I can't. I cannot help you. Do not get fired. Trev, the shipping guru, how you doing, brother? He says, Teen Titans, Beast World, Power Girl, and Howard the Duck. Where is Milt? Howard the Duck, #1. I do believe it's a one shot that they came out with. Is it 50? I think it's either 50 or 60. I can't remember exactly. But we may actually talk about Howard the Duck here in just a second as well. These are some of the new titles that popped out for me as I was preparing for the show. Milt, how you doing, brother? What does he say? Addendum to the 3rd volume of Reggie's Guide to Comic Collecting, Reggie's Language. One of the very first video series that I really did on the channel was around terminology. I think I did a 4 or 5 part video series on comic book terminology, like slab, cracking, pressing. It was all the terminology that we throw around that a person coming into the hobby or newly returning to the hobby wouldn't necessarily understand. So it wasn't all about slabs, but it was just general terminology, A-OK, right? That the terms that we throw out, that it takes a while for people to understand what the heck we're talking about. But yeah, you never know what could happen in the future with that. Oh, count on it. And by some, you mean all. You mean literally all. I'm confident that he bought multiple. Spider-Woman #1, volume 200. TMX, you have never lied, sir. Champagne with comics. Ooh, that's fancy. Picked up Submariner #1, CGC 7.5, white pages. Couldn't walk away. Such a gorgeous cover. That's what's up. Michael says, I missed the first Spider-Woman reboot, let alone, oh, wait a minute, missed the Spider-Woman boot, let alone the reboots. Got it. Now I'm tracking, brother. Let me see. What is it? I watched Reggie in the classroom on several occasions at school. Do not get fired. Oh, he's on a break. Steve says we're on a break. There you go. That's what's up. Joe, how you doing? Joe says, I picked up Howard the Duck and Conan, as well as some oldies but goodies. Nothing wrong with that. My recent pickup is back behind me. It is that book over there. That book over there. X-Men 4, a book that I have wanted for a very, very long time. Book was stupid expensive. Stupid expensive because of WandaVision and Doctor Strange 2, because that's the first appearance of Wanda and some other folks. That book was stupidly expensive. There is 2 other books that are here on the floor. One of them came from Great Britain. 2 books that are sitting next to me. Both of those books were also stupidly expensive for a very long time. And right now, the prices are favorable. The prices, in my opinion, are favorable to being able to pick up some awesome stuff. So treat yourself. Treat yourself. If you have the ability to be contrarian, if you have the ability to pick up some stuff and not put yourself in a jam, now is not a bad time. They're adding all kinds of features to this thing. Ooh, that's fancy. I need to turn that off because we don't need audio when I share a tab. Here's the winner. of the short box giveaway for the month of November. This person left a comment, says, great video, Reg, working on purchasing a low-grade Hulk 181. I can't remember what the rest of it said, but probably like, I'll let you know when I pick it up. That's my guess. 48 or so people entered this giveaway. D-Rods 1535 is the winner of the $100 credit over at Shortbox. You have 1 week to claim your prize. And the cool thing about this prize is that it gives you the ability to go into the Shortbox app if you haven't downloaded it, and you can actually pick up raw or graded comics and take off $100 off of your purchase. It's a great app, great inventory that they have up there. One of the books here that's on the floor actually came from Shortbox. I've been picking up a couple of things, a little bit here and there, but you can save $100 off this app. You have a week. Make sure you reach out to me on Regie@RegieCollects.com. Regie@RegieCollects.com. Send me an email. I need your screen name, your government name, and I will bundle up that coupon code and get it sent over to you quick, fast, and in a hurry. Shout out to him. There was also a video, I do believe, that was released yesterday. It's an unboxing video. Take the time to watch that video and leave a substantive comment behind, because I'm going to be giving away a bundle of comics as well. The folks over at Skybound hook me up frequently with a bunch of comics. And so I'm talking Transformers, Void Rivals, Walking Dead, Holy Roller, Crave are just some of the books. I'm going to put together a bundle and hook up at maybe one, at least one, maybe two people simply for watching and commenting on the video. There you go. That is the mention for that stuff. All right. Let me take that off the screen. So let me go to this book right here, because some of you have already spoken about this book. This book dropped today, and I honestly want to check it out. It is X-Men Blue Origins. I think that's what it's called. Nearly 50 years after he first bamfed into the pages of Giant Size X-Men #1, Marvel Comics will reveal the definitive Nightcrawler origin story in X-Men Blue Origins #1. And this is coming out of the Fall of X and the Uncanny Spider-Man. They are basically going to definitively tell us what Kurt's background and origins are over the years. This article actually goes into the sprinkling of history that we have received with regard to his origins. Uncanny X-Men 142, X-Men Unlimited 4, like over a few decades, we have received some insight into his origins. Sometimes I think some of these things have conflicted with one another, but with this new issue that dropped today, we are supposed to get a definitive summation of what Nightcrawler's true origins are. And that's part of the reason why I'm excited to read this. I want to see how they connect the dots over all the years, the things that they throw out, the things that they keep. It'll be really interesting to see what they do with Nightcrawler as a character in terms of his origin. So for those that have this book, read it. Let me know what you think. I'm going to try to pick up a copy myself because I haven't had a chance to do it. But again, this is one of the books that is out right now that I am excited about checking out. Another book that I will mention to you guys is a Luke Cage book. Somebody brought up Luke Cage the other day during the live stream, and this series just dropped. Marvel previews a new Luke Cage series that is actually part of what was that, the Gang Wars event. I guess now Luke Cage is the mayor of New York City, which is not a job that I would wish on anybody. I'll be honest with you. I've been to New York recently. Many cities are very interesting right now, but when he's not mayor of New York City, he is fighting crime in the streets. And so the cover of this looks interesting, right? Like he is holding a parking meter, and I'm guessing going to lay the smackdown on somebody. So cover look decent. The interior pages look okay. Like I'm not really blown away by the art, but again, this is a book that dropped today. If you have a chance to read it and can send me a message and let me know what you think, I would greatly appreciate that. Let me go back to the chat real quick. Let me scroll over here. I am way behind. Whose comment was that? It was a big comment. Picked up books, but my favorite title this week is Super Liquid Avatar by Apex Comics. I have not heard of that before. Many probably haven't up until right now. Scrolling through, thinking about grabbing Crave. It looks spicy. All right, so Crave. On the back, it says, whatever you do, don't use the Crave app. It's full of debauchery. As you can tell from that cover, it is full of debauchery, not for children. Not for children. It was not a bad read, though. I will tell you that there was a lot going on. There were a lot of characters being introduced and a lot of interweaving and intermingling of things. And I wasn't always tracking who was who as I went through the story. It's one of those ones that I think you have to pay really close attention as you're reading to, who's in the background, who's in the foreground, who is then depicted in the next one. Whereas I tend to read and I'm sometimes distracted by multiple things. So, or you need a second read of it. It was not a bad read. I don't quite know where the story is going to go. I will tell you that. But it was an interesting read. The artwork, I didn't necessarily care for the artwork. I'm not a huge fan of not super detailed artwork. There are several scenes in here where people that are in the foreground don't have faces. Sometimes they don't have eyes. They have a mouth because they're actually speaking, but no eyes and no nose, no real face. So it was kind of interesting. And I don't know why the artist chose to do that. Maybe they're sending a message and I'm not quite sure what it is, but it's an interesting read. Crave. What was also really fascinating to me is that the person that wrote and drew this comic basically signed, I think, every single page of the comic. There is at least a panel on just about every page where she leaves her basically her signature behind. So I've never seen that done before. So that was interesting. It might be on every single page except for the very first page. Yeah, but it's full of debauchery. So if you're into that, if you like The Boys, if you like Gen V, which a lot of people did, including me, Crave, there you go. Check that one out. Let me scroll through. What is that? TMX says, your unboxing video, Reggie, you be doing well done. Scrolling through some of the comments here. The lady in the ad wearing the yellow shirt was supposed to be Luke. I don't know. I think you guys are talking about that. Scrolling. Crave needs to give World Tree back its character, says Trev. Scrolling through some of the comments here. Matt Woods is in the house. How you doing, brother? Reggie liked Crave for the story, not the Well done, brother. Well done. Scrolling through, disappointed to see Firepower ending. Picked up issue number 29. Only one issue left. Could be Kirkman's best. It's one of those things. You're probably sad to see it end, but it might be best that it ends without overstaying its welcome, right? Like that's one of the challenges that I hear from a lot of people. So I did a video recently on the new spinoff that they're doing of The Boys. It's called The Boys Mexico. Come to find out, I think it's going to be a foreign language version of The Boys. So not necessarily a true spinoff set in Mexico, but a foreign language version of The Boys in Mexico. But there were some people commenting that like they're going to milk the cow and let the quality slide, right? So there is a thing of overstaying one's welcome versus ending on a high note. I recently watched Bye Bye Barry. When Barry Sanders walked away from the Lions, he was rushing records and had a major record, just like 1,500 miles or yards in front of him, and chose to walk away. Sometimes walking away and ending is a good thing before you overstay your welcome. A couple of people, are you guys talking about Crave? Are you talking about Crave? Again, it's interesting, man. I mean, Just look at the artwork. Just look at the artwork. Mark definitely enjoyed the pictures and not the story at all. What is that? The second to last page of Crave was interesting. Let me look at that, Frog Brother. Look at that. Second to last page. Second to last. I mean, brother, the last page, the second to last, the third to last. The foot. It's interesting. It is not for children. There should be a disclaimer. Tell us what you crave. We'll make it happen. I mean, I don't know what else to say about that one. Scrolling through some of the comments here. Is that X-Men 4 on the back wall? Matt Woods, you need to watch the video from Monday, sir. If you missed that video, we unboxed that book. We unboxed X-Men 4. Speaking of that, X-Men 4, let's talk about this real quick. So, Regie terminology. This is a packing peanut, okay? This is the work of the devil. These are the work of the devil. I call them devil's granola. Packing peanuts are devil's granola. Absolutely hate these things. Somebody commented on the video. They thought it was funny that I called these devil's granola, and they were like, hey, what do you call those clingy things that are, you know, part of when you're bagging and boarding, right? With the resealable bag. These things right here. What do you call? This is devil's bacon. These things are also the work of the devil. They are devil's bacon because no matter how much you try to get rid of them, there will be several that will just hang around. They will just hang around and you will find them and you will wonder how they got there, but they just hang around. It just pure evil. I have them like tumbleweeds sometimes in my backyard. They just go wafting by after a bag and board session. Devil's bacon. There you go. Some new Regie terminology. I need to get a trade paperback of Firepower. Nothing wrong with that, brother. Aggressively relaxing. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Scrolling through some of the comments here. Steve, thank you for stopping by. Bulldog is up in here. Cali Comics is up in here. Can't wait to watch Bye Bye Barry. It was a good documentary. And I will tell you, no, let me not. I still have questions. Let me say, I still have questions. I told this story recently because I was on a podcast for Doc Strange. He invited me on. We did a whole thing. I was going into the bathroom as a kid in one of the arenas, probably at a Lions game. Barry Sanders was coming out of the restroom at the same time as I was going in. And I was a super young kid, but I recognized that was Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders is incredible. He's incredible, and him walking away was one of those things that people really did not understand, and that's part of the reason why I really wanted to check out this documentary. But again, I still have questions. Dave, after you watch it, brother, let's talk about it. There you go. Reggie does not love packing peanuts. I do not. Devil's granola. God, I hate peanuts, says Milt. They are the work of the devil. They taste like devil's granola for real. I dare you. I double dog dare you to consume the devil's granola with a side of devil's bacon. Double dog. Chris, come on, man. You cannot say that. Hate the devil's bacon. I find them in my. I thought you said in my pants. On my pants and shirt. There you go. The static clean, man. Eat. They get in there and just spin around because we have a Dyson. They just get in there and spin around and you hear them. I have hundreds of those clinging to me on a daily basis because they are the work of the devil. And it doesn't matter whether they come off of a small poly bag, a big poly bag for slabs, or off of sometimes the poly mailers, because I use a lot of poly mailers. Those two have a little bit of static clean, and you're flicking and flicking. Kind of like a stinky booger, Chris. You are correct. Chris is correct. Chris, you are correct. Had a flashback from my childhood with that one. Scrolling down through soda. I hate devil's bacon. After bagging and boarding, I will find them for weeks. And yes, same here. Same here. I think so. What I oftentimes will do is I will get a box. Like I'll have a box there and I fling it and they will attach to the box. I then just like cover up the box or close the box up and throw them away. I found that getting them to affix to something else is the best way to get rid of them. Gotta see the devil's bacon on fire. So I gotta set the devil's bacon on fire so that it doesn't grow legs. I respect it, brother. Scrolling down, well done. That's well done. Greatest running back of all time. Speaking of Barry Sanders, scrolling down through some of the comments. How do we explain that to a surgeon? Reggie dared me to eat packing. First of all, never start a sentence with Reggie said or Reggie dared or Reggie told me. Never do that. Never, ever, ever start a sentence off with that. It's just safer that you don't do that. Let me see. Top 6 that doesn't have a ring. Yeah. Crazy, man. Scrolling through some of the comments I despise. Oliver, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Welcome, man. Welcome to the live stream. Oliver always leaves such great comments. Did you pick up Massive Publications? I did not. I saw several of those being released at New York Comic Con and did not pick that up. I did not buy a single book at New York Comic Con. Not a single book was picked up at New York Comic Con, and I have not picked that book up. Is it a good read? Is American Psycho a good read? Speaking of decent reads, I started reading Holy Roller. Maybe 5 pages into it. It's not bad. I do not know where the story is going because I'm so newly into the story, but it's an interesting read. It is an interesting teenage type of read, at least in the first couple of pages. I don't think that's the side. As I look at that image, no, that this is not a teenage angst. Just saw that picture. There we go. That might be a good read. All right. I also read Transformers 2. I rather enjoyed that. Read Transformers 1, enjoyed it. Transformers 2, I liked that one. It was a very practical, down-to-earth type of issue. Did not expect that. Transformers 2, read it. If you haven't, check it out. I definitely enjoyed that one. All right. I was going to talk about Howard the Duck, but we are not going to get to that. Well, briefly, Howard the Duck has been recruited by the X-Men. That's at least one of the stories that is going to be included in a 40-page one-shot celebrating the 50th anniversary of Howard the Duck. And people like Chip Zdarsky are one of the many content creators that are contributing to this 40-page one-shot that I believe is out right now, celebrating Howard the Duck. All right. So there you go. Liger Style says it was surprisingly good. There you go. CGC newbie here. They are claiming 20-day turnaround for modern books. Anybody here confirm or deny based upon recent experience? Yes, it is true. Before Thanksgiving, they were probably at about a 20-day turnaround. Yes, I would say that is pretty accurate. I do have a book or 9 books that were sent in right before Thanksgiving that I still do not have back yet, but they're still kind of sort of on they're getting on the outer edge of that time period. So fingers crossed that those books do show up. But yeah, I was on a tear maybe 4 or 5 weeks where books were just coming in on a regular basis at around that 20-day mark. So there you go. Trev talking about the CBCS labels. They are indeed clean. Does anyone actually like Howard the Duck? I refuse to believe. TMX, I'm going to leave that comment up there for Milt to be able to see the comments. And I am confident that Milt will show up at your house and we'll have a conversation with you. I'm just going to leave that right there. Frog Brawler says, quicker. If you live in Florida, he received his in 14 days. There you go. Milt's on the board. There are 4 what if stories. So it's 40 pages. I think a couple of creators, and they're all doing what if stories. And one of those is Howard the Duck was recruited by the X-Men, recruited to be part of the X-Men. I guess there was an all-knowing person called the Peeper, similar to the Watcher, that allowed him to see the possibilities of his life. One of the possibilities was that he was recruited to be an X-Man. So there you go. Milt is on the board. I'm telling you, you don't want him. You do not want Milt showing up. TMX is in here. TMX is in here starting to fight. Let me see. Kinda want to send Reggie some dope books surrounded by devils, granola, and bacon. Please don't, brother. Please don't do that to me. All right. So I wanted to dig into this next thing ever so briefly, because it's a continuation of conversations that we've been having in various forms, long form videos, ad lib live streams. But it's an interesting thing that I think this came from Chris Bigger. I think Chris Bigger may have sent this to me. This appeared on IndieWire. Only one 2023 movie with a budget over $200 million has made a profit so far this year. And there's no assurance that others will follow suit. And it highlights specifically the movie Wish and Napoleon joining the $200 million club. And basically, these are big budget movies that are not making money. And I believe that there are lots of reasons for this. Now, part of the reason why I highlight this is because there are some people out there that would have you believe that Disney is the only company making big budget movies that are not living up to expectations or predictions. My argument is that there are a lot of movies that are not living up to expectations for lots of different reasons, right? And part of it is poor quality of movies. Part of it is they are spending way too much money to make movies. Part of it is the fact that the box office has not recovered from COVID. Another part of it is the economy. Another part of it is just the streaming. People would prefer to pay for a monthly streaming subscription or several, and then wait a couple of months for the movie to be released and watch that movie in the comfort of their homes. But again, there are folks that would have you believe that only Disney is making movies that are not meeting expectation, and that's simply not true. There are lots of reasons why movies are not performing. I tick off just a couple of them. With animated tale Wish, Disney, and Amazon's epic Napoleon, both opening last week on November 22nd, we now have 13 releases in 2023 that cost $200 million or more. That is a lot of money to make a movie, a lot of money. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom arrive next month. That will hit number 14. And it isn't just the budget that they have in common. Nearly every one of these films will struggle to turn a profit. Again, it is not simply the fact that these movies are woke, as people will say. There are many reasons why these movies are not performing. They cost a ton of money, $200 million to make it, and then maybe another $100 million or so to market the movie. That is a ton of money. And yes, there is a split between the studios and the movie theaters. There is backside money that is also made. Not all of these movies can be summarized by what happens in theaters, because they do have some life beyond. Of all 14 titles, 7 are Disney, 9 are sequels or remakes, and 5 are MCU or DC Comics. The notion that a film has to be expensive to compete in the market is hardly new, but 2023, aided by inflation and COVID delays, which is important, has taken this to extremes. Of the current listing, just one has turned a profit so far, and that is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That is a movie that I think made $800 and some odd million. I didn't look that one up. It says most of these films saw above average theatrical results. Now, it's important. Like, that's important. Above average theatrical results, but people say that they are flops. So what happens with the other movies if these are above average? What does that say about the rest of the movies? So exhibitors, that means theaters, receive some benefit. These movies may represent $2.5 billion out of a projected $9 billion of gross revenue at theaters for the year. That is significantly down from the pre-pandemic period, just generally speaking. But 2.5 out of 9 million, even though these 13, soon to be 14 million movies haven't lived up to expectation, they are still bringing in $2.5 billion. That's still a healthy chunk of money. But again, there's multiple things at play here. Let me go to the chat real quick, see what you guys are talking about. I heard the Marvels is killing it. Why spend $60 to take my family to the movies when I don't even have a family? Brother, I don't know what's going on in your life. What is it? Just by watching the trailers, it's going to suck. I don't know about that one. I've seen more hype for Godzilla versus Aquaman. I wonder what percent of the movie revenues come from ticket sales, DVD sales, international sales. Yeah, so there's a crazy breakdown of a lot of this stuff, Milt, that you can check out. A Box Office Mojo is the site that I like to use to figure out what are the gross revenues and what is the breakdown of US versus international. So that's one of the things that I look at. The other thing that I will highlight here is yes, movie theaters, and I highlighted this in the comment section on a recent video. Yes, movie theaters take a portion of ticket sales. True, right? But there are also, especially when it comes to the Marvel movies, there are lucrative advertising deals, cross-promotion deals that are also put in place that generate revenue. And potentially the biggest money maker for Disney Marvel is the merchandising that they do. At one point, the merchandising brought in $40 billion. The movies themselves brought in $30 billion. So they split the $30 billion in some way, but the $40 billion, a lot of that is just straight to them, right? So that's why I say they are making money. So in addition to that, there's the DVD sales, right? The physical sales, which I think are also dwindling, but there are the digital sales online. There's the revenue that comes from people joining or staying with the streaming platform to see the movie. So there's revenue that comes from that. And I also believe that they still are licensing movies to other streaming platforms. I was on a platform recently that was not Disney, and it looked like some Disney MCU movies, or maybe it was DCU movies, I can't remember, were actually coming over to that platform. I think it might have been a non-WB, Warner Brothers platform. So it wasn't Max, but there were Warner Brothers movies that were coming to that platform. So they are making money by licensing out the movie for a period of time to other streaming platforms. So there is a long tail of revenue beyond what we see coming out of theaters. But with that said, Napoleon is a movie that dropped recently. The Joker is in that. I can't remember the actor. Whatever the actor was that played the Joker. That movie, Napoleon, that movie cost $200 million. $200 million to make. It has grossed $80 million. Non-Disney movie. Wish, which is a Disney movie, cost $200 million to make. It has only grossed $49 million. Came out November 22. The Marvels seems to be headed in the right direction. It cost a reported $220 million. It has grossed $187. I can't remember when that came out. Closer, I think it was a little bit before Thanksgiving. The Killers of Flower Moon, which is a Martin Scorsese movie, $200 million. $200 million to make that movie. It has grossed $150 million. So I think it is still doing better. Our Marvels is doing better than it. There were two other movies that I looked at just because I was interested in them. The Hunger Games. This is a movie that only cost $100 million to make. It has grossed globally $169 million, and it dropped November 17th. That movie appears to have a slow going in China. I read an article, I think Dave sent it over to me. China seems to be boycotting US-based movies a little bit, which is hurting sales because I do believe China is the second largest movie market outside of the United States. I also looked up The Exorcist, The Believer. This movie cost $30 million to make and has grossed $135 million. Five Nights at Freddy, I think that's the movie. That movie is also doing really well. It only costs like $12 million or something like that to make. It's doing really well as well. My point here is that there are a lot of factors at play that are impacting what these movies are doing. What is that? Aggressively says 200 million on what? Renting production equipment from their own shell companies. The only real expenditure is some of the salaries and the insurance, he says. I don't know. I think it's also like the set design that there, and then with a lot of these movies, depending upon the movies, the post-production editing stuff, the special effects, I do believe that that also sucks up a lot of money as well. I think that is part of it. Scrolling through, and then to the point of the delays with COVID, I think that there were some charges and expenses there. I'm assuming there were some incurred costs because of the strikes that were ongoing as well. I'm assuming that there's some costs there. So people waited out for the streaming, no doubt. I really want the DC movies to do well. So many great DC characters and storylines to use, no doubt about that. Scrolling through, Box Office Mojo is excellent. That is my go-to source. That is really my go-to source for being able to see how these movies are doing internationally, domestically, what are the totals. So I tend to use them for that information because I think it's solid content. I managed a movie theater for a decade. It never really recovered post-COVID. Trends changed. People got used to eating home food, drinks, and watching new releases on streaming. Yeah, Curtis, again, when you look at the numbers, there is a massive fall off during COVID. When you look at ticket sales, right, across the board in the US, massive fall off. There's been a little bit of an uptake, but the delta between where it was pre-COVID versus post-COVID, billions of dollars are lost and potentially won't be coming back. Said it before. Movie theaters increased their fees, trying to hang out, trying to figure it out. The production companies were releasing straight to their own platforms, trying to make money, trying to hang around. I don't know what the future holds for these folks. I think they have to really get back to focusing on putting out really great content that is absent maybe of agendas and crazy messages. Just focus on telling really good stories, and potentially some people will start to come back. But the streaming option is a very strong call. It really is. Behavior from kids also got worse post-COVID. We kicked a lot of people out, says Curtis. Real world. There you go. Real world stuff. Every time I go to the movie theater, they give me a bucket of the devil's granola and it ruins the experience. That's a different kind of devil's granola. The popcorn at a movie theater has not been the same since I was a kid. Like back then, I thought it was like, I felt like it was at least real popcorn. Now it might be yellow colored devil's granola. You never know. Spaceballs 2, The Quest to Make More, says Chuck. Well done. I sub to 5 different streaming services for a fraction of what we used to pay annually to go to the movies. I can wait a month or two for a film to hit streaming. How do you compete with that? Like legitimately, how does one compete with that reality? Because I too have multiple streaming platforms, right? I'm not a big moviegoer. My wife doesn't really like to go to the theater. We would go so our kids could see movies and that kind of stuff. But how do you compete with the economics of what Philtastic is talking about? That's really, really tough. I saw the Marvels and it was kind of boring and dumb. The best part was the post-credit scene. Lack of quality, right? I mean, I've heard some people that really enjoyed the movie, but it's too expensive to take a family. Richard right above Stream Punk's comment there. So let me scroll through some of the comments here. 40 billion chump change, he says, scrolling through. Merchandising is the golden goose. And that's why I felt very comfortable with one of the videos that I released in which I talked about the fact that these Marvel movies aren't flopping. The Marvel movies may not be making as much money as they once were in theaters, but no movie is making as much money as they were in theaters, right? That's literally what we just looked at a few moments ago. But Disney's and Marvel aren't just looking at what's happening in the theaters. Their revenue comes from lots of different places. That's how they racked up $21 billion in revenue in a single quarter, right? They get it off of the merchandising and the cross promotion and the theme park portion that focuses on the X-Men or whatever the Marvel thing is. They make money hand over fist in lots of ways. They are not just looking at what happens in the box office, even though the box office is important. There's no doubt about that. The streaming wars are costing them a lot of money because they're trying to fight this battle to beat Netflix and to have a presence on streaming platform. It's costing them money, but they're also making a ton of money. When you take a step back from it, there is a lot of money flowing in. There is no doubt about that. Scrolling through, movies should be made as TikTok videos, then people would watch them. Says, well, no, that's China, man. We can't support that. Let me see. Scrolling through, Chris Bigger's in here. I just mentioned your name not that long ago, brother. There you go. I'm way behind. Thank you, brother, for that. Scrolling through some of the comments here. Let me see. Many of the WB movies are played on Prime Video. Yeah, somebody had that misperception that the movies that the production houses were not still making money from licensing their movies to other people, and that's simply not true. They are making money off the digital sales, off the physical sales, which are getting smaller. They are making money off of having their streaming platform and making it available to their viewers on their platform. And then at the end, they're still licensing it to other people and still making more money, right? The reality is that we don't really know all of that math. We don't understand all of that math because there's little bits and pieces here that that add up to something greater. But yeah, there you go. Scrolling through, what is that? How much does the open and closed Asian markets hurt the bottom dollar of movies? I think it has a huge impact. The second largest market, I do believe, outside of the United States, unfortunately, Mark, isn't Canada. I think that it's China. And I think China prioritizing its own homegrown movies over those out of the US does have an impact on the money that is made by US based entertainment companies. I think it does have an impact. But again, I think a lot of the money still comes from the US. And I think that people in the US are dealing with a lack of quality. They're pushing back against agendas that are being woven into movies. It's the economy. It's all the other stuff as well. Like there are lots of different challenges that people are facing. Like I literally just finished watching something, and somebody was like, basically, what's happening with Disney right now is essentially what happened with Bud Light and Target. They are viewing what's happening with Disney movies as a win, right? And I think that viewpoint isn't quite accurate because I think that there are other things at play. It is not just Disney movies that are suffering. Movies, period, are suffering for lots of reasons. So the problem is consumers have changed their behavior, but the studios and theaters haven't. Well said. There is no doubt about that. Phil, you are on fire today. Phil, you are on fire, sir. That's not good for the Marvels. It will barely make 200 million. It's been 15 years since the Marvel film has made that little. Definitely not good for the Marvels. But again, they spent 220 million. The movie has grossed 187 million. Part of that money is going to be split with the theaters, right? The big question is, how much additional money will Disney make off of Marvels as a whole? How much more money? And I think they're going to make still. I think they're still going to make money. I think that they are. Scrolling down through some of the comments here, maybe not in theaters, right? But I think that they still. Why did Flower Moon? That's an excellent question. Why did Flower Moon, with no I don't think they have special effects in that movie, cost 200 million? It cost 200 million to make. Then, of course, there's all the promotional costs, and it has grossed $150 million. It is a legit question. Quick question: buy or sell Fantastic Four 48? I would not sell Fantastic Four anything until a trailer for the FF drops. Unless you have to sell it, I wouldn't sell. I do not know if the value of FF48 is in a favorable position to buy, however. It's been a while since I've looked at that book, but I am buying. I just bought X-Men 4 back there, and I have 2 books down here that I've wanted for a long time, one of which is half the price that it has historically been over the last maybe 2 years. Half. That's a buy for me. The other is definitely, the other might be about half as well. Those are buying opportunities for me. I don't know about FF48. You'd have to dig into the data. Kingpin Comics. I'm curious about how much social media reactions and review sites are having on impact a movie. That's a very good point. I think that also has an impact. I think, people watching a trailer and assuming that they know everything about a movie is part of the problem. I think people want to rush to social media and to YouTube to condemn movies and to persuade people to not go see things and to not trust their own judgment to go see it, right? I think that we are outsourcing decision making for a lot of things to other people that potentially are not in a position to make informed decisions for us. There is nothing wrong with having an interest in seeing something and deciding that you're going to go see it because you want to go see it. And maybe you'll like it and maybe you won't, right? But outsourcing what you do and how you live to other people, that's giving people way too much control. I think that gives people way too much control. So I read 200 million without advertising. I read it's closer. Yeah, that's basically what I said. It's about 200 million to make these movies and potentially 100 million to market them. What I oftentimes point out to people as a marketer myself, oftentimes your marketing budget isn't all spent at once, right? You don't simply make the movie or do anything and be like, boom, here's all my whole budget, right? What you oftentimes will do is you will gate your budget. You will spend some of it to drive awareness. And then as there's uptake, you spend a little bit more because you want to keep feeding that. You want to keep people hearing about it and opting to go see it as people go see it. So and that's why I always push back on, well, it's automatically the budget plus 200 million or 100 million, or people have said some crazy numbers. I don't know the real numbers. These are estimates, right? But it's also not automatically the max budget right up front. So scrolling down, we don't the budget for Isolation is not 200 million. I can tell you that for a fact. That it's not 200 million. Scrolling down through some of the comments here, the scale of war, Napoleon definitely eats some cash. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Hundreds of dudes in outfits, cannonball, CGI, etc. Yeah, that was expensive. The question was about Killers of Flower Moon. That was the question with that one, was why that one was 200 million. Napoleon, I kind of get why that one was kind of expensive. I am way behind on comments here. Vika, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Happy holidays to you as well, man. I was going to maybe get some comments today. You are one of the people that I was going to cite for having left a comment on here on the video recently. You get a monthly pass for $19. That's unlimited. Movie pass is back too. There you go. A couple of people talking about that. They should increase the time for movies in theaters and not stream a movie until. So the challenge with that is that the theaters potentially don't want the movies that long, right? If people aren't showing up to see the movie, having a movie play and take up a theater means that the theater's not making any money, right? So they pre-sell tickets, they set aside a certain number of theaters based upon that demand. And as the demand shrinks, the number of theaters that they show it and the times at which they show it also start to shrink. I've seen people send and post up photos on social media where movies are out for a few days and people are in theaters and they are virtually empty. Theater's not going to keep a movie in for that long. So there is pressure on all sides to move it out to streaming so that they can recoup some money. The pressure to get it out of the theaters if it's not making money. I think that those days of these long periods, I think are probably gone, Oliver. Back in the day, that's the way it used to be, right? If you didn't see it at the theater, you had to wait forever before it came out at Blockbuster, right? And you had to wait even longer before it came back into the dollar theater where you can go see it super cheap. I think those days are past, man. I don't know where the balance is now, where the timing is now. I think that they're still trying to figure a lot of that stuff out. So scrolling through some of the comments here, Tina, speaking to Vika used to be around all the time. Life has gotten in the way now. Life has gotten in the way. We don't get a chance to see Vika as much, but he is in the comments. Vika does slide up into the comments periodically and leave a couple of comments behind. Scrolling, how are we supposed to pay back our debt to China if our movies are terrible? Well said. Or the video, well, what was that? Oh, I made a lot of deals. It was behind a 7-Eleven. It was not a gas station. There was no gas there. There you go. TMX is on the board. So for some reason, all of a sudden, I am plugged up. I am super plugged up all of a sudden. I don't know what's going on. I think these live streams are killing the movies just because they're way more fun. There may be more people right here in this live stream than there are in some theaters right now watching the Marvels. There's 60 of you here. That's potentially more than in a theater right now watching it. There you go. Because like life is nuts. I get it, brother. Trust me. I get it. I appreciate when people can show up and hang out a little bit. I think the Marvels will recoup on streaming. It will find a younger audience. The films succeed, i.e. Five Nights at Freddy and Barbie attracted big teen audiences. Others will stream. We saw that essentially play out with Blue Beetle, right? Blue Beetle didn't do as well in theaters and is now the number one movie, or at least was the number one streamed movie across all streaming platforms. It found new life on the streaming platform. And I think it started out as a streaming movie, straight to stream. They then bumped it to the movie theaters, and maybe that was a mistake, right? This movie may have always done better on a streaming platform. But again, that's why I say, even if a movie doesn't necessarily do well at theaters, there is it because that's not even potentially the yardstick to evaluate the success anymore, right? We're using an outdated measurement of success to say that something is a flop or not. Maybe how we evaluate the success of these movies needs to change because the viewing habits of the audience has also changed. The economics have also changed. Spending $200 million on a movie is just that's not the jam anymore. So they have to find a different way to make that magic happen. Wait for streaming for the Marvels just so you can watch the post-credit scene. he is on a theme with that one. Blue Beetle was a great movie. One of DC's best, in my opinion. Some people have said that it's one of the worst movies. It's like, you're never ever going to make everyone happy. It's literally impossible. I watched the Blue Beetle. I struggled with connecting with the movie in the first part, but the back part of the movie I rather enjoyed. I was entertained. Like, I didn't think at the end I wasted my time, but I wasn't also blown away by the movie either. But it was an enjoyable superhero movie, right? And at the end of the day, I am not a critic. I'm just a guy trying to kill a little time and be entertained. That's right. That's essentially, I want to sit back. I want to relax. I want to de-stress, and I want to be entertained. Right. That's what I think life is about. I'm not trying to be a movie critic and talk about the cinematography of a movie. That's just not the way that I'm built. That's not the way that I'm built. Liger says it was a fun watch. There you go. There you go. Oh, this right here is also a really good point. That is a really good point, because some people were saying that Blue Beetle had a bunch of corny jokes in there, and it seemed like it was aimed at a younger audience. It's probably true, right? I mean, we at our age, some of you are older than me, we are probably not the target demographic. We are not what they're making movies for anymore. I'm not saying all movies. I'm not saying that for all movies, but many of these movies, we are not the target demographic. The same way that popular music right now is not aimed at us. It's aimed at a younger generation, a younger demographic. And when we sit here and say this movie doesn't resonate with us and we're mad about it and it doesn't connect with me and it was this, that, and the other, you sound like like a grumpy old man. And somebody sent me a shirt about that, right? Grumpy old man. You don't want to be that, right? It's okay for things to come out that aren't about you. There's some things that are okay to come out and are targeting and aimed at another audience. That's actually okay. That is actually okay. So scrolling down through some of the comments, Marvels wasn't for us 40-year-old weirdos. It was for my kids. There you go. But it's like everybody wants to make it about them. It's about me. I'm the victim because this movie that they created didn't sit well with me. Everybody wants to be a victim. Well, not everybody. Some people. Many of us are like, we recognize that we're not the audience. We simply want to be entertained. Maybe we laugh at some of the jokes. Maybe we don't. Maybe we're entertained. Maybe we're not. Like, not everybody's angry about it, but you seem to see and hear a lot of that spill out on social media. And it's not about you. It's not about you. There you go. It was about the time that your left knee started to hurt, brother. It was about the time your left knee started to hurt and your right elbow and your right shoulder. It was about that time where you started to get those aches and pains that it no longer became about you. We are overtime at this point. We are overtime at this point. I wanted to get to some of the comments, but we won't get to that tonight. Maybe I'll save those for another live stream. But I want to thank you guys for hanging out a little bit. I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream. If you did, I definitely want to encourage you to give the video a thumbs up. A video that was released yesterday. If you haven't yet watched it, I encourage you to check it out. Simply for watching and commenting on the video, I'm going to be giving away a bundle, possibly 2 bundles of comics from the folks over at Skybound that have hooked me up with some good stuff. So watch the video, leave a comment behind. I'll probably randomly pick those winners in the next couple of days. So you still have a little bit of time to do it. But I'll put together probably a bundle of 10 books to send out in North America. So if you're in North America, you are indeed in the running for that one. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me just a little bit. Vika, my Canadian brothers, Blue Wrenches, members of the channel, Patreon members. It is always good to see you guys. And as always, simply for watching this content, if you ever need me, if you want to reach out, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.
Straight off meditation, we was concaving until we had that eternal dialogue that created our dialect. Now we in distinct rooms with pure souls having them conversations. Synergy and combinations. You flying, we waiting. Indian style in the gold temple of greatness. When you follow the North Star, you coming for the education. This is my audio book. These rhymes are just the imagery. More like an audiographic novel or a memoir about a young MC making timeless music with his mentor. I pray y'all grasp my letters. Nothing was meant to last forever.